Well, all right now. Listen up. These good white folks is out here trying to recycle all their glasses, plastics, and aluminums. And you bitches keep throwing it all in a dumpster. Who had one?
I did.
You didn't empty the cans in 104. I'm docking your pay.
What?
Who the fuck you supposed to be? Mighty Morphin fucking Power Ranger? I'm docking her pay.
Speaking of pay, I thought you said you was gonna pay me under the table.
Look here, on this green earth, there are 3 people that I don't mess with. The I, the R, and the S.
But with them taking taxes out of my check, I can't afford my babysitter.
Look, if you don't like working for Luther's janitorial, then why don't you just take your broke ass home? Otherwise, shut the fuck up and get back to work.
Guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Tyra here with another struggle review, here to discuss Set It Off. Now, this movie is from 1996 and it stars Jada Pinkett Smith, Vivica A, Fox, Queen Latifah, and Kimberly Elise. Now, before we get into all things, I'm in a bind, Nate. Goddamn, Nate, I need this money. I need you guys to drop down and subscribe to my channel and like this video. I'm going to give you guys a moment to do that, and then we're going to come back and discuss how this movie never fails to give me a little tear right about here. Like, as soon as they hit that day after day, oh, it's over. Like, it's wet. Like, but y'all really thought they were gonna get away? We wanted them to get away, but unfortunately, the block was hot.
Go back.
Now that you guys have hopefully subscribed to see more of me, let's get into this movie. But before we jump into the video, I have to give a shout out to the person who paid for and requested this film. So if you happen to set it off, it's not because of me, it's because of this person right here. Thank you so much for supporting me and paying for this content. Now, Raya here also has her own YouTube channel. She is a fine ass gamer, the Glimmering Harpy. If you are into gaming and all that good stuff, she is on a ton of platforms such as YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. Go and follow her and get your game on. Now, getting into this movie was directed and produced by F. Gary Gray. This was his second film directly after Friday. Now, of course, he had done a ton of music videos, which is why he was so familiar with rappers like Ice Cube. But I do feel like both of these films are his best films. Movies like Set It Off, as well as Waiting to Exhale, were considered really risky for the time because who was gonna go and see an all-black female cast movie with all-black leading female characters? They were only given $9 million to make this movie, which is a very small budget, but it turned a large profit to let studios know that you can make movies centered around all women, all black women, and it could still be successful. I just really love this movie as a whole and what it represents collectively. This was pretty much their baby. The studios kept rejecting everything, so they were doing reshoots and rewrites as they went along. The cast, our women here, had every given opportunity to go, you know what, I don't feel like my character would do this. They would say that. Like, they all pulled together to make this happen. And that even goes for the writer Takashi, Bufford, who wrote this script with Jada Pinkett and Queen Latifah in mind for those particular characters. So it's just really awesome that it came together. Now, not only did this movie do things like give F. Gary Gray a chance to really showcase more of his talents as a director with the whole shift from Friday with this crime action drama of a film, but it also gave all 4 of these ladies a platform to really showcase their acting talents. Yes, this was, in the early 90s, but they were still really popping out at this point in their careers. The one who was popping out the most was probably Jada Pinkett Smith as far as acting. She'd already been on shows like The Different World, done movies like The Inkwell, A Low Down Dirty Shame, and even Jason's Lyric in Menace to Society, where she got to show some dramatic acting chops. But in those movies, she was always a side character or designated to a love interest. And then we have Vivica A. Fox. She had done a lot of television work as far as sitcoms and soap operas, but she had not really gotten herself out there with a film. She had recently done Independence Day, but once again, she was a side character and did not have a large role. And then we have Kimberly Elise. This was her very first outing as an actress. This was her first role, period, in anything. And then we have the Queen. We cannot forget about Queen Latifah. This was not her first outing as an actress, but most of the roles that she got early on, the little 2-bit parts in movies, she was pretty much playing herself. And at this point in her career, she was mostly still known for her albums and her music and not really her acting career. People will smooth forget about her being a rapper first. Don't make me wait. Ow, hey, come into my house. I know you're there. Give me body. Oh, we had house music. We was outside. Just another day living in the hood. Just another day around the way. Feeling good today. And let's not forget that she was Khadijah James in Living Single. But once again, Khadijah always felt like an extension of her playing herself. Cleo was totally different. Now, going back to rewatch this movie, I forgot how intense and grand this opening was. Not even just that, but just how heavy this movie was with the action. This was a good ass opening scene. We opened with Dub C rolling his ass up on Frankie with Ice Cube is the lick, West Side is the click. Can't get enough of this gangster shit. He ain't said that. He said hands up, cash out. He said, give me all the money out the register. Now, what I love most about this scene is not only the intensity of the bank robbery and the performance that Vivica A. Fox here is delivering. Like, everybody here did such a bomb-ass job. This is probably their best roles, like, period, ever. As many films as all 4 of these women have done, this is like them at their best. But we also get to see just how high the stakes are for a bank robbery and what all could go wrong. Everybody loses their lives except for Samuel Monroe Jr., aka Junior from Players Club, ruining one movie and one bachelor party at a time with every role that he takes. Only making it out with his AP projects. But I just also love the narrative around what's happening to Frankie and the conversation and rapport that she has right away with Officer Strode, who has an agenda against her instantly, solely based off of where she's from and the connection that she has with the bank robber. Frankie, who's worked at the bank for years, is instantly penalized and considered an accessory instead of the victim that she was. Mind you, she is one of the few, if not the only, black bank teller working there. And the first thing that comes to mind is, why didn't you follow procedure? Why didn't you, follow protocol? Because he had a gun and he shot her right in front of me. Like, why isn't anybody considering that I was just as in fear for my life as the other white bank tellers were surrounding me who did not follow protocol either? Everybody was shook, but I am being penalized because I'm hood adjacent. Fuck y'all. Not only that, but you're gonna fire me? I nearly got blown away in your tired ass bank and you're gonna fire me? You couldn't even fucking wait. Like, damn. Such a low blow. Nobody is concerned for her life. Like, there are so many moments here in this movie where it touched me and hit me differently than it would as a teen, because you haven't really experienced life. But to see a room full of people gaslight her like that and just not be considerate of her feelings, her life, her job, just everything that she experienced all in that day, solely based on the narrative that all you black people run together. If they were here, you're associated, that means you're involved. Like, meanwhile, sister, you didn't even ask me if I was thirsty. Like, we gonna get into that, sister. Ella Joyce was pissing me off in this movie. Like, Rock, whoa, Rock, get your wife. Get your wife. She was making me mad at how eager she was to shoot them. Like, we gonna get there, but like, you didn't even offer me a drink of water. Like, yeah, I want everything you have on her. She's involved. Like, I almost died today. But the main thing on everybody's mind is, what's the procedure when you're being robbed? All right, motherfucker. Now let's start with Stoney and her baby brother being full of shit. All you had to do was tell me you didn't get in. Like, but no, all jokes aside, I like their whole conversation around him feeling like he had to lie about getting into college because she put so much pressure on him to get in so he could avoid everything that she's had to endure, living in the hood, working paycheck to paycheck at a 9-to-5 to survive, keep your head above water, making the way where you can. Good times. Like, I want my brother to avoid this, not to mention that they lost their parents early on and she has been solely taking care of him. But we have seen this narrative a whole bunch of times, especially if you are hood adjacent. A lot of people internalize the mistakes that they made and opportunities that they feel like they missed, whether they're a big sister or a parent, and really try to force and instill this in their children. Oh, you gotta go to college. You have to avoid what I did, when sometimes it's just not that. And Stoney's brother was not that. He never wanted to go to college. If you go back and look at this movie, all of the signs were there, whether they could afford it or not. You know, that AP in the back of your head is fat, man. But he ain't even from Acorn. Like, hook him, get your ass up and hook him up. Come on. He wanted to be outside. Like, you hear things like he was a late graduate, meaning that he had to go back or scrape by just to graduate from high school. Or even despite him living in a house, he is making his way to Acorn and the projects to be with the likes of somebody like Junior and get the AP projects in the back of his head. Or even just down to the common denominator that he did not get in. I don't know if he applied to other places, but he had no wicked jump shot. Like, you had to be strong in the academics to even be considered and get in. So if he was a late graduate child, them grades probably wasn't that strong to begin with. Boo Boo Kitty did not want to go to college. He really wanted to be outside and be a part of the neighborhood and be hood adjacent. Meanwhile, Stoney is a bit older, knows what that means, wants to keep him so badly away from that element and wants more for her brother. Oh, look, here comes Nasty Nathaniel. Oh, Lord. Nasty Nate, the meme heard around the world. I'm gonna buy Nate. I need this money, Nate. Like, all jokes aside, this is our first act of desperation in the movie from one of the four ladies. Like, there are constant moments of desperation that lead them up to the bank robberies that we see later on. Like, it's a hurting feeling to not be able to afford to pursue a higher education. She cares so much about her brother doing better that she is willing to slut herself out and prostitute for a little check from Nate. I need this money. Now, yeah, girl, you ain't getting nothing until I'm done. Like, he gave her a whole proposition. Like, I love when he started up the hoop ride. Like, girl, you coming to work because I ain't got time. Nate was bottom line and to the point. Like, Nasty Nathaniel and them stiff ass sweaty strokes and that bareback ass mattress always piss me off. It look real seedy. Meanwhile, he over there, if it's worth it, let me work it. I put my thing down, flip it and reverse it. It's your thing. Yeah, like, you put your thing down, flipped it and reversed. Like, you couldn't even do to give me this same still ass position, Nate. And then you couldn't even give me a ride home. Like, oh. But just the degrading part of it, like, you can really see the shame and just the disgust that she has with the experience and just having to go home and, in a sense, wash it away. But those are things that definitely stick with you, and you even see her demeanor change in the movie because she does carry this shame with her. But this was all in a sense of, I'm doing this for the greater good for my brother. Now, we already have that level of desperation from Stoney, and then we get yet another from Frankie. Frankie was ready to rob a bank as soon as she was fired and as soon as she touched down. She felt like something was taken from her, and now I have to do this, what I consider to be degrading work of being in a position of servitude. You can tell that that bank teller job really meant a whole lot to her, especially with her surroundings. She, out of the four friend group, she was a bank teller. Meanwhile, Cleo, Stoney, and TT, they are in roles of servitude and are pretty much maids. She now herself working for Luther's janitorial services feels like something was taken from her and now she needs to take it back. You know, all right, we don't gotta rob the bank. Let's just go in there and blow the motherfucker up. Like, she was just so litty and just felt very disenfranchised and not cared for or appreciated as a black woman. According to that job, nobody gave a damn about me, and then y'all fired me. Why not use my knowledge of banks to commit a bank robbery. She was damn serious from the moment that she mentioned. And then we have a character like TT who has her very own desperation. TT is shy, quiet, reserved, doesn't really stick up for herself, doesn't really feel like she instantly fits in with the friends group, even though she's been there the entire time. She's also a single mother and she is struggling to get by and just do simple things like pay for childcare. Like, to hear her say simple things like, I can barely make it because they are taking taxes out of my check. Like, we gonna get into these women making absolutely nothing. But side note, did anybody feel like with the way that Kimberly Elise portrayed TT, what if I can't come up with the money? Like, I thought you said you was gonna pay me under the table. We weren't ready. You guys know we weren't ready. Where you been? I caught the bus. Like, all out in the open on the street in front of people. Stoney, I thought we was going in there to case the bank. Like, did he ask you out? Like, did anybody else feel like TT's elevator didn't go all the way up to the top and reach, you know, the penthouse top floor? Like, maybe she was missing a few canned goods out of her grocery basket. Like, was it just me? Was it just me? And then we get into Cleo Menza, aka Cleopatra, Queen Latifah as Cleo here, this gay, tough, roughneck lesbian. Like, this movie was so progressive in so many ways for its time, not only for the portrayal of our 4 Black women and them leading a role or the way that they went out, just the whole representation here of who Cleo was. At the time, there wasn't a whole lot of gay representation, especially gay Black female representation. It was probably non-existent in '96. So for her to get here and body this role the way that she did, outside of them writing for her to push up on Frankie for no reason, like, I done told you, I'm strictly dickly, like, oh, we gotta come through with it. Here comes the masculine energy, butch gay woman always trying to convert and push up on somebody who's like, we need that. We did not need that. Outside of that, she played this character to perfection. Cleo, unlike the other women, she just has this embedded desperation. Cleo, unlike our other 3 women, does not have anything actually happen to her within the movie. She is just downright sick of being broken, being poor, never having shit. I live in a garage, you know, I got my hoopty, like, fuck you, nigga. Like, I'm working on my shit. Like, don't talk about my baby. Like, I'm just sick of never having anything. And then on top of that, she had already had a rap sheet. We see in the movie that, you know, she's not only on the rough side, but she been jacking. Like, she been outside. She already, you know, has a record. She been tired. So all this ever did was collectively give her friends an excuse. Like, I've been like, that's why her and Frankie clicked so hard on, okay, we're robbing this bank, because where her friends got to, she was already pretty much there. I just love her energy. Like, Queen Latifah did such a great job here. Of course, we know, like, everybody's like, oh, this was great. She was living in her truth. She was always gay. We knew she did so well at Cleo for a reason. Like, outside of just that, who cares about that? She did great here in general. Like, most of these women here offer like some Oscar worthy ass performances that we know that they would never get for a movie like this. It goes unrecognized, but she was phenomenal here. Like, I was like, damn, Queen Latifah is acting her ass off, especially straight coming from Khadijah James of Flavor magazine, and to flip it and go to this, it was phenomenal to go back and watch. Like, side note, they couldn't give Ursula no lines. Ursula does not say one thing this entire movie, to the point that I am considering, you know, was Ursula like mute, or was this just a decision? Like, you fine, got a nice shave, nice little bun cut, go stand over there and be cute, dance on top of the hoop ride, and let's just call it a day. Like, why didn't Ursula have any lines? Like, was that a creative decision, or was she mute and I'm missing something? Because Boo Boo Kitty said nothing the entire movie. I've been struggling, hustling, bustling forever. These are the days of our lives, I've been struggling, hustling, bustling forever and ever. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, y'all thought I was gonna get into the soundtrack? This movie has a dope ass soundtrack. Like, I love that whole scene of them sitting on the roof, and I'm about to get into these ladies' finances and what they were making at Luther's janitorial service, but we can't skip over the soundtrack. The soundtrack here is like dope as hell. I was forgetting all of the other songs associated with this movie, because when you think about Set It Off, you think about Though I'm Missing You, you think about that. My strength and my pride, only God. You You think about Brandy and Tamia and Invoke. What's it gonna be? Cause I never liked that song. Like, my Invoke song, Down Boots, is I'm so glad to see you. Ah, baby, don't go. That's my song. That's my Invoke song all day. But you know, Don't Let Go was cute too. I was having a good time with this. We even have Ray J. Remember Ray J had Let It Go on the soundtrack. That's before he was outside singing, till my baby's born, till my baby's born, till my baby's born. Like, sir. And then, of course, there's one more song here that is just so significant to this movie by Miss Lori Perry that I have to save to the end of the video. Now, I love the connection that we have with these four women. It really speaks to the writing of this film and the writing that is lacking now when we get into writing our strong lead female characters. Like, they try really hard to have something be perceived a certain way, and it comes across as forced. Nothing here was forced with these four ladies. Like, they had us feeling for and identifying with four criminals. Like, just that sense of desperation that all four of these women have, and that common denominator of, if you are pushed beyond a certain breaking point, a lot of people will do anything, and they were here. Let's get into the finances. Like, when I hear these women say shit like, oh my God, $20,000 would change my life right now. Like, what? Like, I know this was 96, but when we get into those comments, or when they are sitting on top of the roof sharing, smoking, like, you know, as soon as we start smoking, you start looking like Sugar Bear. Like, I love not only the kindred friendship and that warmness that you get as far as just how close they are and what they all mean to each other and just them lifting each other up, but that conversation when they are looking at the closed down plant and they were like, you know, before it closed, they were paying people, you know, $15 an hour. Like, I'll be, you know, yes sir, boss, what a nigga gotta do, ass motherfucker. Like, $15 an hour could make or break these women when we know it ain't nothing. Like they did not want much, and it just really spoke to what they didn't have. Like, they were definitely making minimum wage at Luther's. But it's also at that point that I recognized that the four women did not appreciate what they had at that moment. You know, I'm still talking about it. Ain't nobody gonna stop me from talking about it. Well, talk is cheap, nigga. Like, I'm still talking about robbing this bank. This is what's important to me now. We have no money, but what we were rich in was, you know, love, family, friendship, and we are placing value in, you know, finances, even though shit, money is important. I'm never going to act like it's not, but they were so rich in other ways to the point that once we did have the money, it didn't really mean as much when we didn't have our friends to share it with. Now we have this movie completely kicked into overdrive when we get beyond desperation and we add some hurt for good measure, with Stoney's brother being gunned down and shot. Like, that bothered me so much before. Like, it you know, it makes me sad, you know, before you're a teen, you are like, oh man, like, this sad. Like, the shootings here in this movie bothered me so much. The, like, umpteen time around watching it as a grown-ass woman in the climate that we are in. The fact that he was surrendering and, you know, getting on the ground, and he was profiled just for that AP in the back of his head, you know, all black people look alike type shit. Like, it bothered me so much for them to shoot him down like that and he was getting on the ground. Like, it was just so reminiscent of the things that we see, unfortunately, on a regular right now. And just that whole idea of, you know, oh, it was a mistaken identity, like there'll be a full investigation and he is just considered a disposable casualty of the event. Like, all that shit pissed me off. Not even just Stoney at this point losing her brother, or even the fact that we get that trope of, oh, we thought he had a weapon. Like, oh god, like, oh, it just pissed me off. But just what Strode here as an officer represented and how invested he was in taking them down. Like, whether it was telling them and taking photos when he wasn't supposed to be, and just being unruly invested in this case. He had a vendetta and an agenda against Frankie initially from the beginning. This was all this trickling down effect for these things to transpire, for them to even rob a bank. Instantly, when he gaslit her at the bank, had her pretty much be rightfully so to lose her job and just really feel like she was involved. I need more on her. This all started with him. Now, did he put a gun to anybody's head and make them rob a bank? Absolutely not. But his actions catapulted the events that occurred. The whole situation with Frankie, you're there, like, are you the only cop in LA or what? Like, you're there. And then the whole situation with Stoney's brother, like, you were there. Like, this is all surrounding this one officer. And just that vendetta he had to prove himself. Like, I need to prove that I'm right about who I am perceiving these black women to be. Initially, especially with Frankie, I need to vindicate myself and be that officer. The only way I can do that is to take down these 4 black ass women. Like, sir, the fact that they tried to, you know, kind of redeem him in the end, I was like, get this shit the fuck out of my face. I don't give a damn about him and let Stoney go. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? Now, of course, for good measure, we add insult to injury with having TT's son taken after he swallows cleaning products when she brings him to work, and she is now considered unfit, and she needs money to, you know, prove that she can pay for childcare if she wants her son back. Like, side note, y'all could redo TT's braids like at least once in the whole movie. Like, TT was looking rough. I was like, well, goddamn, Stoney braids look fresh as fuck. Cleo's braids look good. Like, why are we not redoing and refreshing TT's edges or something? Because it was, oh man, it was making me mad. It was making me mad. But here is when we commenced to getting into the bank robbery. Like, it was bothering me a little bit how much they were pressuring and pushing up on TT. I was like, TT, why you here, girl? You need a better group of friends. You know what you gotta do. Like, you gotta rob. You coming or what, TT? Like, leave TT alone. She don't want to rob no bank. I caught the bus. Like, I love that first initial bank robbery and how unprepared they are. Like, it's realistic and it's comical at the same time, because it's like, who the fuck was, you know, letting y'all roll up, putting on y'all wigs and sunglasses in the bank? Like, just how unprepared they are. And, you know, we're not ready. We didn't case this bank. And we have Frank like, okay, like, get on the ground. Like, when fucking Queen Latifah says, hold on, what the fuck you looking at? I'm a bitch with a gun. Like, Cleo was cracking me up. Like, I just love how comical it is, and it really makes you identify with them, even though they are doing something so criminal. You want them to survive. You want them to get away, and it's fun. It's like, damn, I want to rob a bank too. Like, this shit look lit. They are just so pumped. Not only, you know, through the desperation, but it makes them forget what they even need this money for, or why they are even in this bank. They're just running off of sisterhood and just pure adrenaline. Like, we did that shit. Like, yes, y'all did. Like, let's go do it again. Like, I love it. It is so fun. But in spite of it being fun and us rolling up into the bank with our fresh guns from Black Sam, we only got away with 12 G's. I was like, excuse me? That's $3,000 a piece. Excuse me? What? What are we supposed to do with that? Like, the desperation is real. If we were $3,000, like, oh, I got $3,000. Yes, girl, you got $3,000. How far are you supposed to get with that? Like, note to self, if you ever decide to run up in and rob a bank, rob one time where you can get a reasonable, decent amount of money to live. Like, where was you gonna go with that? Down the street? Girl, Nate probably gave you that for putting your thing down, flipped it and reversed it. Like, we ain't even go skip over her ripping up that check. Girl, what you whip up that check for? The deed is already done. Pick up that. You better glue that check back together. You better glue that check back together. Now, Blair Underwood is here also as a love interest for Stoney. He finds common interest in her solely based off the fact that she is fine, but they have absolutely nothing in common. Not only is he wealthy, but he is educated, successful, Harvard graduate, and he works at a bank that she was casing. He also has that low-cut scissors with the deep waves. Ow, so quick to snatch up your Beyonce.
Really looking good and he talk it right. He the type that might change my life. Every time you look at me, my girls be like, that woman be the ones.
Now, Now, Keith is not only here as a love interest, but he is also here to show that Stoney is the original around the way filet. Like, you ain't never been nowhere. She is from the hood. He is there to show her what life could be once you have access to things. You know, he's lavish. He has this loft. He is clearly financially well off in comparison to what Stoney has and what she is used to. He is also there to kissing you is... Oh, he's also there to kiss up on her, give some forehead kisses, love making, soul shaking, and rub on her inner thigh. We're always here for that. You know, I need to break up and robbing these banks. I'm tired. Rub my back. Run this gold chain down the crack of my ass. Woo! Erotic. Now, instantly, we have rifts begin to occur solely because of the money and lack thereof. And we do see that it starts to change the dynamics of their friendship. You know, once we realize, you know, $3,000 ain't enough money for us to do anything with. You know, after we trick out the Chevy Impala and buy Ursula a talk box so she can talk to somebody like, oh, look, why she wasn't talking? It was bothering me. We need to hit up yet another bank and do it the right way this time. That second bank robbery is fucking everything. Like, I just love it. Like, it's just so intense. Like, it was crazy because I was sitting there watching it like I had not seen this movie a million times. But once they are like in the bank, you already have Detective Strode. He is high on their ass. Like, he is just so fucking invested. Like, I was just so disgusted with him and his partner. Like, I'm like, they're doing their jobs, but like, sir, get up out of my face. But moments like when we have TT on the ground, like, oh Lord, Jesus, mama, bitch, would you shut the fuck up? Like, that shit cracks me up every single time. Or even that heightened sense of, are we about to get caught because these cops are right outside? And you have Cleo like, bitch, if I can't get in that getaway car, we already have her. I love the fact that Cleo will not pull off unless you give her a tape. Give me a tape. Pistol grip pump in my lap at all times. Like, give me a fucking tape or I'm not pulling off. Like, cascading, busting through the motherfucking bank. Get in. Like, it is just so much fun. Like, it makes you just want to commit, you know, armed robbery. It is just such a freaking good time. And at this point, even though you know that they aren't, as many times as you watched this movie and as greatly as these characters are written, or even what the ladies initially put in for these characters, because they made these characters their own and added so much flavor and dialogue to them, they are so humanized and so relatable to the point that you want them to get away every single time, even though you know they don't. But unlike last time, since now we have 75,000 apiece, all right, see, now we can make some shit shake. Especially in 96, we can make some moves because we weren't going nowhere but back to Nathaniel's with $3,000. But we decide to hide the money in Luther's janitorial. Like, I really wish that they would have put in some type of clip of how Luther found that money or why he was in that vent. It always bothered me that he just found the money and like Luther's out the business. But while Stoney is getting her back blown out thinking, where were you 6 months ago before I started casing these banks, we have these women show yet another layer of loyalty to each other. But when we roll up on Luther, who is having a good and a hoochie coochie man, everybody knows him. Yeah, I don't know. He was getting some hoochie coochie from a white woman. Luther was having the time of his life with that money. And in that moment, he decides that he is going to shoot Cleo. I wish they would have pushed it a little further because it almost looks like TT reacted too soon. And now we have a murder rap attached to armed robbery. And we also have a witness. Like, all of these layers were piling up, just really adding to the intensity of that movie. I love when they have Cleo in that lineup and it's very pistol grip pump on my lap at all times. Like, bitch, I wish you would say something. I will roll up on you. I swear I'm killing every nigga standing outside. Like, don't you say nothing. Even them behind the glass, like, is that her? Like, y'all about to shove this white woman's face into this glass because y'all want Cleo so badly. Like, relax. But at this point, like, this is when the movie gets really, really intense and really good. We hot, Stoney. We hot. The only way we gonna see some real money is if we hit downtown Federal. Does it have to be downtown Federal? You gonna play us over there bumping you man at the bank? Like, bitch, get up. Like, Stoney was working my nerves with how she was just so above. Like, oh, I just want to be the type of person that doesn't have to do this. Oh, does it have to be another bank? You said we weren't gonna hurt anybody, Frank. Like, no, damn, you don't get to say that, girl. You was outside with your gun screaming, get on the ground, just like the rest of us. Get your ass up and let's roll up on downtown Federal. Like, if not, we are getting locked the fuck up. All that trying to call Keith and warn him beforehand and get him out the bank, who was a real one because he recognized you and did not snitch. I just love the whole scene and how it played out. I love the whole moment in the restaurant beforehand when it's like, I know y'all sick of wearing them wigs. I'm sick of it too, because why we couldn't have on a Scully? Nobody had a Scully. Like, cover your whole entire face. These wigs and sunglasses, like, y'all probably spent more on that than you would on a goddamn Scully. Cover up your face. And then even the masks that they have are still like transparent. Like, anyway, it was litty. It was litty. Like, shit really starts rocking at the end of the movie. It is so intense with, you know, Strode always there instantly. Like, if Strode was not there, they would have got away. He was close in the vicinity of the bank because he had just left, trying to warn the bankers to be on the lookout for these 4 women. Like, if he didn't have his ass there, they would have made it out. Like, I just love the way it played out and how intense it was. And even at that moment, he decides to become relatable. Like, no, you've had a vendetta this entire time, but now that these 3 women are in front of you and you're letting it be known, like, I know exactly who you are, like, it was enough. Like, I'm sorry, Stone. Like, why are you apologizing now? The time to show sincerity for what happened to my brother and apologize was initially when it happened. Like, now that I'm committing, you know, robbery, now you want to apologize to me. Like, that goddamn security guard rolling up and shooting TT in the chest. Like, did you not read the room? Did you not read the room of what was going on? Like, he just came like, oh, baba, sir, what? First of all, I love the fact that Cleo was like, bitch, I ain't surrendering a motherfucking thing. Bitches, what are y'all doing? Pick up the guns. We have came too far to go back now. Like, what are you doing? But just in that sense of Cleo going the fuck off once TT is shot, like, I just love that loyalty. Of course, you know, we have TT kill Luther because she thought that he was gonna kill Cleo. Like, they just loved each other so much. From the time that TT was shot, Cleo's fucking character was rocking. Like, look at her. Look at Cleo. Cleo was on it. Like, look at her. Look at her. Like, man, I just loved it. Like, I ain't no joke. I used to let the mic smoke. Like, not me, not my bitches. Like, oh man, I just loved it. It is so good. But of course, you know, this is backtracked and taken away instantly. The excitement of them, oh, they're not gonna get away. They're not gonna all make it out because not only is TT shot, but she is dead. This is the first, you know, teardrop of the movie. This isn't, you know, Stoney's brother is, you know, a sad moment, but that's not, you know, her crying over his body. That's not my first teardrop. When TT goes down and she is dead, like, that's my first, like, oh, like, cause you know, TT ain't never hurt nobody. TT ain't never did nothing. Like, you can also even speak to TT being a follower, like that connection with them as a friends group. That shit will get you in some trouble. Like, Frankie and Cleo were down to rob the bank. Stoney and TT were never, you know, really just too sure. Even TT saying things like, I ain't doing nothing without Stoney. Like, that whole sense of being a follower, like, girl, you dead. Like, oh, like, that's my first initial teardrop of the movie. And from there, it is just a cascade of waterfalls. Like, why? The way that they were on their ass and there was just literally no way out. Like, shit is barricaded off. Like, at 5, we rolled up to rob the goddamn bank and get away. And shit, by 7, we were on the news. Like, the helicopters, like, it was just so intense. Like, every fucking cop in LA came out to take down these women. Like, there is no way out of here. And even with tension being so high for them to just not only go to jail but lose their lives at this moment, the loyalty is still there. Cleo showed the fuck up. You see how strong their bonds are and what it was always really about them, you know, as women, their friendship, the love that they have with each other, like TT making that sacrifice and, you know, getting enough gusto up to do something like shoot Luther, or Cleo making that initial sacrifice that, you know what, they are all collectively looking for us in this car. You guys get out and, you know, get up against the wall and I'll see you. Like, she knew she wasn't coming back. She knew she wasn't coming back. That's when the love and the loyalty that she has, you know, for her friends group, that trumped everything that money meant to them at the moment, because that hug that Stoney gives her when she is about to drive off, it's just like, it is so emotional. That damn hug takes me out every time, because she knows like this is it for me, but just because it's it for me, I still want my girls to make it out. Somebody has to make it out. Like, this just can't be it. I know I'm not going to jail for life. Like, at this point, we didn't kill, you know, multiple security guards. We didn't shot at me. We killed Luther. Like, we've robbed multiple banks. Like, I'm looking at life or this. And then they decide to tug at our heartstrings even harder. Not only do we have Cleo riding out like a fucking OG, the OG that she is, it's me and you, like, oh, she not gonna make it. And then they turn this shit up to like 4,000 to just like make everybody cry with Lori Petty's Up Against the Wind. Like, man, when I tell you, I will ball. Like, Cleo was like, this is my nigga personally. Like, dog, like, how they lit Cleo up, overkill. It was just really getting me in a bad way. Not only the way that Cleo was murdered, but Frankie as well. It just had me thinking about how some people can be, you know, shot in the leg, taken down, subdued. Meanwhile, others are just shot at close blank range. Like, Frankie was running away. She got, like, they were lighting Cleo the fuck up. Like, it just, it was just too many. Like, whoa, this wasn't fucking Alonzo from Training Day. Like, y'all was doing too much. But, you know, once again, that is a testament to the writing. We were identifying with these ladies so much that we cast aside what they did to get to this point. Like, oh, I wake up every blessed morning, down on my luck and up against the wind. By the time we... I'm done for. I'm in the corner. I'm crying. Don't you stop. Don't you run. Don't you cry. Girl, I already cried. It's too late. It's too late. You'll do fine. You'll be good. You'll get... Ain't no getting by. Once they killed Cleo, I was done for. And it didn't stop once they killed Frankie. Like, just the desperation of it's either this or nothing. Like, that whole, what's the fucking procedure when you got a gun at your head? Like, you trying to come over here all open now. I'm not caring. Like, no, don't come over here with that shit. What was this energy when I saw the white woman get shot in my face? Like, now I want to make you feel inferior, make you feel small, the same way you made me did. What's the fucking procedure when you've got a gun at your head? It's either this or nothing. I'm definitely not listening to you, and I'm not gonna let you just take me in. Like, I'd rather go out than go, like, oh God, like, when she gets shot right in front of stuff, like, oh, just open the bus and let her on. Let her go to Mexico so Stoney won't be by herself. Like, oh man, like, it is just so tragic. Such a tragic ending. Like, I love the emotional roller coaster that this movie takes you on, because one minute it'll have you laughing, then you're crying, then you like, ooh, that was a nice shot. Like, it's intense, it's action, it's drama. Like, it is just so many layers. And then we end with like Stoney having no one and nothing. Like, what does this bag of money mean if I have nobody to share it with? Yes, I escaped. Yes, you know, I got to Mexico. Yes, I did call up Keith, like, thank you for the thang yang yang, and not snitching on me. But outside of that, like, what do I really have? I'm not as rich as I was when I had my friends and my brother. Now that I have this bag of money, and then of course we have Strode, like, I could snitch, I could arrest her, I could say that she's on the bus, but you know, I've done enough. Like, we've lost enough already. Let me just let her make it. Like, that always gets me. Like, don't try to humanize him in any way. Like, this is low key. I blame you. Don't, you know, try to give him any credit for letting Stoney go. Like, whatever, sir. But yeah, that's you know, now I'm missing you. We end with the missing you and cutting off the braids, and we get that iconic short Jada Pinkett Smith 90s hair. Like, she just has such a doll face. Like, she's just so precious, you know. And then, you know, like every other film in history, when some shit pop off and somebody has a gun, we have to implement that Jimi Hendrix. Hey Joe, where you going with that gun in your hand? Like, oh my goodness, it was a cover by Seal, but I'm getting real sick of every time somebody pull out a gun in a movie, we gotta hit, hey Joe, where you going with that gun in your hand? Oh, it's some vets home, some vets, it's the 70s and the 60s. Hey Joe, where you going with that gun in your hand? Like, oh, okay, give him a break. Like, his bank account should be loaded. Like, the royalties, whoever is collecting Jimi Hendrix money should be loaded by now. But you guys, guys, that was my review for Set It Off. I hope you enjoyed it. Please drop down and tell me if you did. Like, this video went on for longer than I wanted it to, but I just had so much I wanted to share. Like, please drop down and tell me your favorite moments from this movie. What did you take away from this review? Did you learn anything new about the characters? I do try to go deep, knowledge, you know what I'm saying? But I look forward to reading you guys' comments. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.